let's queer up education. Wilton Manors Elementary pauses religious club that is anti-LGBTQ+. An elementary school at the heart of Broward's LGBTQ+ community sent out a notice that shocked some parents. The notice informed these parents that a new after-school club would teach morals and values from, quote, a biblical framework, end quote. Parents at Wilton Manors Elementary School started researching the club, called First Priority Game Day, and became even more concerned. While the club is open to students of any religious beliefs, adult volunteers must sign a statement of faith which espouses anti-LGBTQ+ views. The club's statement of faith says, quote, rejection of one's biological sex is a rejection of the image of God within that person, quote. After complaints from the school's PTA, Principal Tauri Eligon scrapped plans for the club, saying he hadn't properly vetted it. This was at least the second time that Game Day Club was stopped at a Broward public school after complaints, the other being McNab Elementary in Pompano Beach in 2021. The club, which serves students in grades 3 to 5, exists in some district-run schools as well as several charter schools. First Priority has had Christian clubs in numerous middle and high schools in South Florida for about 25 years. State and federal law generally allow religious clubs to meet during non-instructional hours in secondary schools if they were initiated by students. It's unclear whether this restriction also applies to elementary clubs. So my phone was burning up with the parents from Wilton Manors Elementary School when they found this. We were going back and forth a lot.
And what did you hear from them? Fear?
They were stunned. So again, Wilton Manors parents tend to be reflective of the Wilton Manors community, more liberal, more Democrat. I remain stunned that so many Democrats can be so stunned at the behavior of these conservative folks.
Yeah.
But they were stunned, they were taken aback. It clearly reflects that Broward County Public Schools does not vet any of the clubs that come to them. The email that went out to parents didn't come from the principal. It came from an assistant principal. I have a copy of that. I was getting ready to drop a bomb on that school the next day. And then they sort of backed down on their own. So I said, But the Game Day Club, which uses an insignia that is just like the NFL.
Yeah, I was noticing that, right? Like any little kids that like sports would think it's a fun group to show.
They know what they're doing. I was thinking about calling the NFL too. But they're in other schools. They might have fallen back from Wilton Manors, but go to their own website. They tell you exactly which Broward County public schools and Palm Beach and further north. They tell you exactly what schools they're in. It's a tragedy.
Was this the same school that got crap because the kids went to go eat at Rosie's?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes,
like, I mean, come on, and they're down the street from Rosie's, and Rosie's got a damn good burger, so I don't see what was the problem with that.
Right.
Okay, well, let's give a big shout out to Tauri Eligon, okay, the principal over at Wilton Manors Elementary, for due diligence, for doing your job, for being on top of it. Thank you so much for checking this, because these are 8-year-olds. Right? Third grade is like 8. You're 8 and 10-year-olds, and you're trying to make these kids into LGBTQ+ haters. That's what you're trying to do.
Isn't it ironic that the club is specifically designed for grades 3 through 5, which is what the Don't Say Gay law points out as being, the original version at least.
That's not a coincidence.
They're trying to, the whole thing is just so.
Well, the fact that he admitted though that he hadn't properly vetted it is kind of worrisome.
Yeah.
Oh, very worrisome. I spoke to somebody in the Broward County public school system who's downtown.
Yeah.
They know that the club is there. They haven't vetted them, and they said they don't vet any of the clubs. I won't say that person's name, because they told me that at risk of their job, but
So I'm stunned. I have a whole set of notes that I'm speechless, because as a former educator, as someone who was inside of a classroom with students, the first thing that you do is you read over, you preview before you present anything to kids. First and foremost, our kids, our scholars, are looking for those after school clubs to better their character.
And there's got to be a teacher or somebody to also facilitate it, right?
To lead. And these after school programs have to have a true leader that says, hey, you know what, I want to be the representative of your school to enlist the students. And so it is a bait and switch to then do a character assassination of their siblings, because what happens is when you teach this indoctrination or this view, you're now getting a child who may not truly understand all of the biblical sense to self-hate.
Yeah.
That if you don't live right, you're going to go to a certain place that we all know it may or may not exist depending on how you live. But it's something that you never should teach a young person
in a public school.
Because
In a public
again,
school. Thank you.
the children go there half their day. They spend their time with their classmates more than they do at home and with their teacher. And again, as an educator, what worries me is in this setting, in this school, in this city, there's someone who is working with these young scholars who believes that this is okay.
Yeah.
And that will stand up to it. Again, you can believe whatever you want, but what you should never force is, you don't want me to force my queerness. You don't want our siblings to perform. You don't want this, but it's okay to tell children, if you don't live a certain way, your life is determined to be negative and untrue. I think that is horrible.
Hypocrisy.
Hypocrisy at its worst. So I'm glad that this was caught in time. And again, another big shout out to Tauri Eligon for just being you and doing the right thing. Thank you.